Hi. The trouble with the future is that it usually arrives before we're ready for it. Our current COVID-19 dominated life certainly arrived before most of us were ready for it. Faced with uncertainty and a totally transformed business environment, most businesses are now finding themselves in need of some form of pivot in order to continue operating. Now, today I wanted to reflect a little bit on innovation from the lens of photography. You like that pun? And what we can learn from our business in the current situation. Now, I brought along this little baby, the Kodak Brownie. Now, Kodak invented this little camera in the early 1900s. And this, in fact, is my very first camera. I think I got it as a gift when I was about 5 years old. Still works. Now, this was a completely new way of how people thought about their lives and how they could record it. For a couple of dollars, they could buy this technologically wonderful device and easily take snapshots of the events in their life. Of course, this is now a museum piece. It kind of lives in my glass display cabinet there as a memento. Although there is a thriving community of Brownie photographers that still actually actively use them. Sometimes I'm tempted to buy a roll of 6x6 black and white film and put it in there and see what I can do. As I said, this was my very first camera, and I've had it since I was 6 years old or 5 years old. I can't even remember. It's always been there. Now, when I was 25, I landed a plum job with ACFA, one of the leading manufacturing companies in the photographic industry at that time. And as a keen photographer, I thought, wow, this is literally the dream job. Of course, at about the same time, commercial digital photography was born. ACFA, as well as the other film manufacturers at the time, were slow to recognise that this was going to completely disrupt their business model. Now, of course, ACFA no longer exists today. We know what happened to Kodak, the other major film manufacturer. They went bankrupt, and the irony of that is that they, in fact, invented the first digital photographic camera. It was developed by a Kodak engineer way back in 1975. But for some reason, they decided that was too much of a threat to their conventional business, and they parked it. Now, innovation isn't simply about having a good idea. It's about putting those ideas into practice. And certainly ACFA and Kodak, and to a lesser extent Fuji, they didn't recognize this disruptive innovation, and they kind of put their heads in the sand at the time, ignored it at their peril. Now, we've seen examples of this on an ongoing basis. I mean, you think of Netflix totally disrupting the video rental business. You think of Airbnb totally disrupting the hotel business. And it's going to go on and continue. Now, we'll see this happen on an ongoing basis over the next 10 years, and most people won't even see this coming to their own business. So it's really important to keep an eye out. And now, in today's COVID-19 environment, the environment itself has totally disrupted our whole business model. And so many businesses are finding themselves forced to pivot. And in some ways, maybe that's a good thing. It's got them thinking about what else is out there that might be disrupting their business. So right now it's COVID-19, but what might it be after that's over? So if the environment has imposed limitations on our business, what can we do? And for me, there's a couple of key questions here. The first one is, what business am I really in? You see, for me, ACFA and Kodak thought they were in the business of providing photographic film and photographic paper to photographers. But the business they were really in was giving people the ability to capture memories in a really easy way. That's what that thing did. And at some point in time, along came the digital camera and allowed you to capture memories in a much more efficient, in a faster way, and ultimately now probably in a more convenient way, because we can actually post-process the images on our computers. We don't need to set up a dark room. We don't need to have all these chemicals in place. So digital photography delivered the core of what their business was really about. And they forgot that the business that they were really in was providing a way to capture memories. So what business are you really in? And then the second thing, what experience are you providing your customers? So I'm asking myself those questions and thinking to myself, well, how else can I do that? So for me, the experience I'm providing my customers is the ability to get their message communicated to their ideal client so that they can make a difference to more of their ideal clients. And of course, there's ways I do that. Some of the modalities are around marketing and podcasting services that we provide. Luckily, I can do quite a bit of that online, so I don't have to physically travel and be in the same location as customers, which is a blessing right now, although often I would prefer to be with them in physical proximity. Now, of course, I've also done quite a few in-person workshops and conferences and spoken on stages with a whole lot of people in front of me, and there's a great deal of satisfaction and enjoyment I get out of that, but I think there's also value for my audience in having that physical proximity. And of course, now those things are going to be off the plan for quite some time. I can still show my customers ways to get their message communicated to their ideal client through those other modalities. And of course, as I say, if I ask myself those two core questions, what business am I really in? And what are the experiences I provide my customer? Then I can start generating some additional options. And of course, the more options, the better, because then I have some choices and I can pick those that work best for my customer, that serve them the best. So some of the things I'm working on right now are regular webinars and developing some more online training programs in addition to what we have there. And I've got some ideas around some really neat online training programs that we can deliver in various formats. And one that I'm exploring to add is a podcast as a training program. So having an audio training program that would be just like a podcast, which means that people can listen while they're out doing their exercise, while they're walking, perhaps while they're doing some gardening. So some of the things that don't perhaps occupy their brain power to a high level, and they can listen to the audio training programs at the same time. So time, of course, is something that's very precious for all of us. Some of my clients who have been speaking on stage and live workshops as a key part of their business are also looking to get on podcasts as guests instead of that, or in addition to that, and also to develop webinars and more online training programs. Again, the key questions are, what business am I really in? And what experience am I providing my customer? I'm curious, what comes up for you when you ask yourself those questions? And what ideas and options does that conjure up for you? Now, I have a favor to ask. I really want to do more by way of online webinars. I'm thinking of doing a weekly free webinar simply to share information that I have, things that we do in our business that we consider quite routine and quite straightforward, but a lot of other people may not know how to do them. So I want to share those with you where they add value. But I want to find out what will add value to you. So what topics would you like me to cover on future webinars? Or indeed, if we put together specific training programs to cover those topics. So it would be related to the things that are core to our business, which is helping our clients build professional credibility, engage with their target audience, and connect with their ideal clients in a way that builds and strengthens an enduring, engaging, ongoing relationship, which really, that's marketing. So I'd love it if you put your request in the comments below, or your requests can be more than one. And I may even have a gift for you as a reward. Now, that gift, of course, is in addition to the webinars that we'll do. So that's all for today. In the meantime, remember that you can access these daily thoughts via our private podcast at innovabiz.co/leading. Check it out and follow the show so you'll always get the latest episode. Have a wonderful day. Stay safe and keep being awesome.